Today I made an announcement in church that I want to be sure everyone heard, because I'm sure there were many friends of mine in the church that weren't there to hear it. I'm going to be leaving Pasadena Community Church in June for a new appointment in Georgia. I love this church with all my heart. For 10 years you've embraced me and loved me and supported me. I feel a strong connection to this church. So why leave? Well, in short, I believe God is calling me to a new appointment. This decision was bathed in a lot of prayer and a lot of reflection, and through various signs it's been made clear to me that God wants me to start a new season of ministry. I've learned through the years of ministry that quite often when God calls, it's very unexpected. In fact, quite often it feels like an interruption. And I think there's a reason for that. I think God wants us to rely on Him. And I'm asking you to rely on God in this transition. Just as God is calling me to a new church, so God is calling the right people to lead Pasadena Community Church. The bishop and the DS and the cabinet have picked some very effective and strong leaders to lead this church through this transition and into the future. Reverend Dan Johnson will be the interim senior pastor of Pasadena Community Church in July, and Reverend Esther Robinson will be the associate pastor. I've known Reverend Johnson for years, and you could not have a better person at the helm. He has a wealth of experience serving large churches through various times of transition and growth, and I believe he has the skill set and the passion and the ability to lead Pasadena in the way it needs to go. And Reverend Robinson comes with great experience in pastoral care and congregational leadership, and she will serve you well. Please welcome them as lovingly as you welcome me. In addition to being a call, this is somewhat of a homecoming for us as well. I know many of you know that Brandy and I are from Atlanta, and so we have close connections with family and friends in Georgia. And so it means a great deal to us to be able to go back home with Paul and to share Paul with family and friends, and to also be closer to family, all of us together. I know you'll have many questions about this transition. I understand that. We understand that. And so we're going to be providing online some printed materials for you to read, an FAQ that answers, we believe, most of the questions you'll have. And we'll also have information about Reverend Johnson and Reverend Robinson and their biographical information so you can learn more about them. And we'll provide contact information for them. And I encourage you to send them a warm and welcoming email. Let them know you're excited that they're coming to serve this church. It's really important that you do that. And I'll also ask you to pray for your new leaders as they come, to pray for me, Brandy, and Paul, and most of all, to pray for this church, pray for this congregation. I love this church a great deal. You'll always hold a special place in my heart, and I'll miss you dearly. But God is faithful, and He has all of us in His hands. And I also want to say a word about change. I think it's important for you to understand that change renews a church. It really does. And every so often, churches need new leadership and they need new energy to grow. It's just necessary to grow. And if you look over the history of this church and the history of a lot of United Methodist churches, change has been a good thing. In fact, over the last several months, we've experienced the change of renovating the sanctuary. And we were inconvenienced a little bit by being in the Hamilton for worship, but then when we got into the sanctuary, there was a renewed vision and energy. And in much the same way, when you get new leaders, the same thing happens. And I believe the best is yet to be for this church. Your best pastor is still on the horizon. And so in order for this church to be the best it can be and grow into the future, it's really important that you pray for your church. You see, the pastor is not Pasadena Community Church. You are Pasadena Community Church. So ask God to support and to bless and to empower you, as I know He will, as you go into the future and you continue to grow.